Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave Sports and Entertainment original presented by Prize Picks. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Be sure to check out The Right Time YouTube channel. Lots of exclusive YouTube-only content for you guys. Be sure to go over there and check it out. It is Joel from Missouri City. Friday, the Ringers, Joel Anderson. Wait, have we talked to you since you got yourself a job?
I don't think so. I think maybe I was on the cusp of that.
I know we haven't talked to you since you got a job, because to get you on this time, you told us to talk to your people.
Hey, man, I had to get permission now. I can't just do whatever I want. This isn't a freelance operation anymore. You know?
Were like, yeah, go get your people. Go talk to my people. They'll let you know if that's what we do.
I can say, too, that because this is my first time going through the system, they said, in the future, I can just run it by them, and I don't have to make Sean send that email anymore. So there you go. So some of this is on me. Now we all learning each other. I'm brand new here, you know.
All the same, man. So what you gonna be doing over there,
man? So already right now, I'm co-host of the Press Box podcast with my boy Brian Curtis and
Funky Town's own Brian Curtis,
UT's own Brian Curtis. And I'm going to be writing, man. And so, get kind of not too different from what I did at Slate. They want me to do a narrative podcast series too. So we're going to work on some stuff with that. And yeah, man, I'm excited, man. Bill Simmons, man, he and we've danced for like a decade. He brought me down to LA in 2016 and showed me around and was going to call me and then never called me again. And then we did it again in 2020. And so now I'm hyped. Actually, I just want to work, man. But you and I have talked about this. I'm like, hey, man, go down to the post office and get a job. See if they hiring kind of person. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I've never not had a job. So I'm just mostly happy to just be free to do what I need to do, man.
Yeah, boy, I bet your queen is too, boy, because you strike me as the sort of type, man. I imagine you a miserable dude to be around in new times.
I'm not a fun person to be around. when I'm unemployed, the few times I've been unemployed. And so, yeah, man. And you look, man, there's just something about, providing for my family. I got a lot of people, like Lil Wayne say, man, I got some people to take care of, bro, Well,
so. No, I will say this, though, like big decision hanging over my head. That is not a winner for me either. I remember one summer when I was working at ESPN, and it was the week of the ESPYs, I remember, and we were adding something to my deal or whatever that was hanging over my head, and it was messing with me. And I felt bad for anybody who had to listen to me at that time, because I know I wasn't a great time, right? And then to make it worse, I fly out there. I got ESPYs. I don't have tickets to the ESPYs, but I got after party tickets. And people need to understand those are kind of like gold. Like, ain't no guarantee. A million people work at ESPN. The "Hey, I work here" card only goes but so far. And I was not 9 years ago who I am now, right? Mm-hmm. Like I was not. Like I wasn't but so far on the totem. Anyway, man, they lost my luggage, bruh.
Oh, I can't remember this, man. I kind of remember this time.
So I had this hanging over my head, and I wasn't great company. My best friend from growing up, who I've known since I was 7 years old, I got us ESPYs after party. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I'm doing this, and I ain't got no clothes.
Man. Well, people don't talk like Diddy anymore. But, so I'll buy the clothes when I land,
Yeah, I wasn't there. I wasn't in that place, nor did I have time to buy clothes when I landed. Okay. I did not land at a time that made that. Like, now I have some solutions to that problem. Right. At that time, I was just really salty, bro. I was just really, really salty.
I mean, this is what friends are for, man. And I got to tell you, like, Bo talked me through these past couple of months, too. He's been checking on me, man. So appreciate you as always, brother. And he had me on when I was unemployed, like
of course.
It wasn't even Joel Anderson of Joel Anderson LLC,
Here's the thing, man. You in the crew, you ain't really never got to have no job to come on this show no more. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't even about that. You don't have to legitimize yourself. Well, man, before the people.
I really do feel like family. And that's why I want to bring this up, because I was listening to the show on Monday, and I can't remember the brother's name who asked the question. He was like, the best game and the best player we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And I had to feel like I had to come in over you, because you talking about people, you brought up New Caney and stuff like that. I'm like, come on, that's not.
You have to go over me. What you can simply do is offer your alternative takes
based
on what you saw in private school.
My bad.
Tell us about those great players you saw at the private school.
The best player I played against in private school in straight Jesuit in all those years, I guess Brandon Jennings, who's a Channelview, went to A&M, and then he played for the Raiders. But that's not what I'm talking about, okay? And you clowning me by going to private school, but whatever. I was zoned to Willow Ridge when Willow Ridge was great. But the best player I ever saw, and it was 2002, the fall of it, and my dad had been like, man, there's this boy down here who is amazing. You got to come see him. And so I'm just like, how good could he be? It was Vince Young.
It had to be 01 then, right?
Oh, was it 01? It must have been 01. It was 01. I was already working professionally then. And I mean, Vince Young was so good, and this was against Austin Westlake. This is the game he lost his senior year, right? So Austin Westlake went on to the state championship, but this game is
Austin Westlake, by the way, for the uninformed, that is where Drew Brees went to high school. I feel like every city has.
Cade Klubnik went to Austin Westlake. Yeah.
Basically, I feel like every city, town, whatever, it's a bunch of white dudes, but they be cold.
Yes.
It's Austin Westlake.
This is Austin Westlake.
It is the opposite of Atlanta Westlake, for those of you who need that perspective.
You've brought that up before. Yes. This is, they do not share very many things in common besides their city starting with the letter A. But Vince Young went into this game, and I just have never, like, for years afterward, it was tough for me to enjoy high school football because I was just like, oh, nobody's played like Vince Young. Like he did everything. He played maybe 10 snaps on defense and had an interception in that time too. If Vince Young could have played 30 snaps on defense, they would have went to the state championship and probably won. So Vince is the best I saw, or David Boston. I don't know if people remember the great David Boston. David Boston is also class of 96 like me. And David Boston was a real one, brother. I mean, I know he became a buffed up joke years later. Nah, bro. David Boston was the real deal, my brother. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, look, man, like Humble was a good football program, but they had not even, I think they made it to the state semis that year behind him, bro. He was that good. And it was him and Odell James that were in that class. And they were both like football stars. They were first team all city, first team all area in football and basketball. And basketball, do you remember Bobby Crawford?
I do not.
Bobby Crawford, all Dean Eisenhower, H-Town people, stand up. He signed with Michigan in 92. So imagine, this is how good he was. Like, think about what Michigan was in 92. He only stuck it out there a couple years, I think, and ended up finishing at Rice. That was the best men's basketball player I ever saw. I also saw Brittany Griner play high school basketball in Houston.
That doesn't even sound fair, because she was like drop stepping and like drop stepping again, but I think she was even catching two hands on people.
It was a waste of time. It was a waste of time for her. Nobody benefited from her playing against civilians like that. It was not a good time. It was not a good time for anybody.
6'8" with coordination in high school basketball, regardless of gender, is going to take you a long way.
And the
but
physicality
in girls
was there
basketball, bro, what are we talking about?
I mean, yeah, man. I mean, she probably, like, accomplishments and everything else, maybe the greatest basketball player ever come out of Houston. It's her, Clyde Drexler, right?
Yeah, that's I don't even know who's close to number 2 in men's with Clyde.
Man, dog, that's a tough question, man. There's been some guys. I don't see most of the Houston's flourishing in basketball came after we were gone. You know what I mean? Like, Houston was not a basketball hotbed in the way that it was after we went on to college. So TJ Ford is, like, when I think of, like, the best Houston area basketball player, the one that had everything around him and had all the accolades, like, I think of TJ Ford. I'm sure there's somebody that has probably had a better NBA career than TJ Ford, but in terms of the best basketball product post us, I think of TJ Ford. So
he's the inflection point.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he is, TJ Ford going to Texas is like the inflection point with that program. He also went to Willow Ridge, and it was him, Daniel Ewing, and this dude named Ivan McFarland that played at Oklahoma State. Yep. And they lost one game in 2 years.
Yeah, man.
And then TJ came in the McDonald's game at Cameron and did the slip and slide. At least that's what they called it on NBA Street. And it was so cold that they had to put the move on NBA Street.
It was so smooth. You forgot about Kenny Taylor. Kenny Taylor went to Texas and Baylor, man. They had they were. I mean, that might be the best team in Houston area. I don't, I don't want to. The old heads will probably say Yates in '85 or whatever, something like that. But well, Yates in '85 would be football. But
I will say this: we got deep in the football woods. I'm gonna keep it somewhat there. I have this thing I've been saving. I saw it this morning, and I didn't put it in the group chat because I want to get your reaction to this.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Did you see who is the halftime performer for the 2024 Big 12 championship game in football?
Oh my God. No way. Is it Shabuzi?
No, they can't get no goddamn Shabuzi. Shabuzi is doing still tipsy on fofos at the Thanksgiving game for the NFL. Shabuzi ain't playing no Big 12 championship game.
See, I had to throw you that oop. I don't know who.
Just take a guess.
Take a guess. Is it a current artist?
I would not say current, no.
Oh my God. Okay. This is Anthony Hamilton.
You're not far.
Oh, really? Was I close?
Neo.
Wow.
And I need people to understand, this is not any shade to Neo, right? I'm not throwing no shade to Neo. Man. Neo wrote one of the greatest hooks of all time. I was listening to it a lot this week. Flossing around while I'm up in these streets, knowing that me and that dude got beef. Yep. That's some of the realest talk. That whole song, but that's some of the realest talk. So I'm not throwing shade at Neo. I'm just trying to figure out in 2024, if you land on Neo as your halftime entertainment, who else was on the list?
I gotta see the list.
Like you and I were talking about this. You hung out or caught up rather earlier this week with our good buddy Bruce Feldman. Who writes for The Athletic at Fox Sports, also great college football writer. Bruce also, you may not know, big R&B head, right? Like the last time I saw Bruce, he was lamenting that he did not get to see Frankie Beverly on his last tour, right? Joel said he talking to Bruce, and Bruce is breaking down who he likes, but some more songwriters, the singers, like Bruce for real about this.
He said that about somebody he saw in person. And it was Music Soul Child. He was like, well, he wasn't as good at first as singing, but his songs, I really like his songs. I was like, damn, Bruce is for real about his, for real.
Yo, that's what I'm saying. So there are white people that are into the R&B, like especially from the 80s. Like them numbers, Sunny 99.1 was playing them Luther Vandross jams, James Ingram, you know what I'm saying? Like so there's ways in for people. If you look at the numbers that Sade was moving, ain't enough of us to buy 4 million copies every time out, right? Like, white people down for the program, but they normally don't age with it. You know what I'm saying? Like
they
when you go
childish
see
things behind, right?
Yes, when you go see an old school black act, and this is the problem that all of them have, from rap all the way across the board, then white people outgrow it and they don't go no more, right? Mm-mm. But all them copies that all them black acts were selling, can't get no white people to go to none of them shows.
Man, that is a great point, because I saw Mint Condition. I don't remember seeing those folks there, man. Who? Anita Baker in Oakland. It went, a handful. And Oakland is pretty diverse, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Nope. Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and you go look at the numbers they was moving, but like you say, they put away them childish things, right? They get biblical with it, right? That is what tends to happen. So who was like, I think we can get Neo. Right, were they not offering a proper wage?
I was gonna say, is this Neo and Friends? Is it gonna be like him and I don't know, singers like what's that? The brother that is an actor now, James something. He's got really heavy eyebrows. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Really heavy. People are gonna know who I'm talking about. He's a very handsome man. But anyway, I was wondering if it's like a Neo and Friends concert. It's just Neo holding sound center stage for the big.
What if it got so bad for they booking that they just called Dion and was like, yo, you know somebody? And Dion's like, give me 15 minutes.
But Dion could get somebody. This is like a Michael Jordan. It's like, well, I could get Kenny Lattimore. I mean, actually,
was Kenny Lattimore on the list?
I was going to say, that's actually not that, although Neo did sold a little bit more. He sold a little bit more.
No. Neo got some hits. Neo was more recent. We're not saying that Neo does not have a career.
Sexy Love,
to make
good
this
song.
Happen. But look, last year their halftime act was Nelly. And look, Nelly's a different animal, man. Nelly went diamond. if I'm not mistaken. Like Nelly is a echelon of star that could they not get Ashanti, maybe she was charging too much money. She could just go through Neo, go through Nelly to get to her.
I mean, man, you think Maya, Maya don't got a record label no more. You know what you think?
Brother, running through my mind right at that moment was, I wish y'all to call Maya. I don't know if you follow Maya. I don't know if you follow Maya on Instagram, but
I plead the fifth. Would you? But would you go? Would you go then? Have you been to a Maya show actually?
I wouldn't go to
You should go.
I wouldn't go. Why?
Why not?
Can I get backstage?
You probably could. You probably could.
No, but I would not. I would watch a Maya concert.
That's what Instagram is for.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't necessarily feel like Maya be playing all kinds. She be booking all kinds of gigs, boy. She be playing festivals on all them little islands. She be doing casinos. She get everywhere.
She looks like she's having a great time. And it's funny because I saw like Instagram has those trash accounts that have just reels. You won't believe Maya's career. And it went through all the songs she had done. And I was like, man, Maya actually kind of got some hits, man. She's done a lot of stuff, bro. Like, if you look back at it, I mean, it seems we're not joking, but we kind of joking. But Maya actually had a lot of hits, bro. Like, it was kind of like the Beanie Man, the Jay-Z joint, all that other stuff. Like, she could put on a pretty good show, I bet.
And it's hard to put together such a list now because it's been so much time, and this song I'm naming, I guess, is about 20 years old. But there was a time when she had to claim to the two dopest Jay-Z verses on the Best of Me remix.
Ooh, wow.
He crushes.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, the whole flow too with the Carolina Blue kicks, all that. Like, it was. I mean, I don't know, man. It makes me feel like an old man to kind of reminisce about how dope that whole time was. But it, like,
what's a little me on top gonna hurt?
Yeah.
Maybe a little.
Maybe a little. You know what I'm saying? Don't come on and flirt. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. We all over the place today. We actually, because Joel does this annoying thing where he asks me what we gonna talk about on the show, and I be like, I don't know.
This is not annoying. But Bonnie is like extreme. Like, he's top 1% in the business at talking extemporaneously about stuff, and he's like incredibly informed about things. So his mind's going all over the place. So I need to make sure that I'm at least informed about where we might go when we get on here.
I know, but I know that you can do it. See, that's the thing. I know that you can do it because we talk on the phone and you can do it. It's not like I be sending you a list of topics and then you prepare yourself.
That's true. But look, man, sometimes I'm gonna be on camera. I just, I'm like a person.
I know.
I gotta prepare. I need my playbook here. You know what I'm saying?
I know. I know. It just forces me to actually think about these things, which I'm not always prepared to do. So today we did text back and forth, and so I had some things, and I want to throw something out here because I need to find maybe this is a segment that we can somehow find a way to incorporate into the show called That's Cap or something along the lines of That's Cap. Because The Athletic did a story about Joe Douglas, the outgoing general manager for the Jets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in that story, it was reported, it was Diana Rossini and a dude named Zach. Sorry, homie, I don't remember your name right now. But the report was that at some point, Woody Johnson, the owner of the Jets, was so frustrated with Aaron Rodgers' play that he wanted to bench Aaron Rodgers and to put Tyrod Taylor into the starting lineup. But it was overruled by the head coach, and he wouldn't do it. But it was the owner who wanted that. And important to note, in fairness to all parties involved, it was cited to multiple sources who were in the meeting when they said that happened, okay? And I'm sorry. I spy Cap. There is no way in the world, as long as I've been living and as long as you've been living, you are not going to convince me that Trump's ambassador to the United Kingdom was like, yo, put the black guy in at quarterback and over Aaron Rodgers?
Desperation, man. I mean, desperation makes it inspires us in all sorts of different ways. Also, I had to look up how old Tyrod Taylor was because I feel like he's been in this situation for roughly a decade. And
he has got to be 36 now, right?
You're close, 35. 35. Man, I mean, I know Aaron Rodgers is bad, and I know that he's not been looking good, and I know that he is like a polarizing figure. But for Tyrod Taylor, I mean, I just like, because we've seen everything we need to see with Tyrod, right? Like, what do you think is going to happen if you put him out there?
I mean, number one, to be fair, I have no reason to think that the version of Aaron Rodgers that we've seen, that Tyrod can't do that.
Right, but Tyrod would have to be much better than Aaron Rodgers to justify that move, right? Like, he would have to be.
Yes,
it would have to
yes.
be. Couldn't be a negligible improvement. It would have
to turn things around, right? And look, I feel bad for Taylor, because for people who don't remember this, in 2017, for whatever reason, the fans in Buffalo had enough of him, right? He is the best quarterback that they had in quite a while. And he certainly is a bit limited, right? Like, he's somewhat physically limited, and he takes way too many sacks. But he had made a Pro Bowl. He had been a good player for them. And in 2017, they're over 500 halfway through the season. Keep it in mind, they hadn't made the playoffs in 19 years, I want to say, up to that point, or 17 years. It was some
20.
crazy
I think it was like close to 20 or something like that.
It was 17, because remember, the last time they went was the Music City Miracle from the 99 season. And this is 2017. So it had been 17 years that they had not made the playoffs. And for whatever reason, that whole city had hyped themselves up around this dude named Nathan Peterman, a.k.a. the Peter Man. And they benched Tyrod for the Peter Man, and they were playing against the Chargers. And I'll never forget, we talked about this with me the other day. I left my house because my good buddy Corey was in Brooklyn. We were going to see the Warriors and the Nets. And I got in the car around the start of that game. And by the time I got out of that car in Brooklyn, which was like 40 minutes, I want to say Buddy had thrown 5 interceptions.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Maybe it was only 4. And they had to go to Tyrod and be like, can you come in the game?
What you doing, man?
Right.
You good?
Right. And so then they make the playoffs that year, right? All right, they make the playoffs, but they drafted Josh Allen, made that move. It took a little while for it to really get going, but okay, cool. It worked out. Taylor then goes to Cleveland, where he gets to hold the job down. He getting this just until the white man is ready, right? He held the job down until Baker Mayfield was ready, though he got hurt, and then Mayfield blew it out to that game, and they're like, okay, cool. Then he goes to the Chargers with Justin Herbert, and they stick a needle in his lung by accident.
Right. Collapse his lung, right? And that would happen.
Yes.
I mean.
Yeah. Bad luck, homie. Like, my man just keep getting the bad luck. Then they had him behind Daniel Jones last year. And when he came in, things stepped up. But then he got hurt again.
Right.
And that's how you wound up with your man with the spy versus spy agent.
Oh, yeah. Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito.
Yeah. The new starter, Tommy DeVito. Right. And so to me, he was the perfect backup for the Jets, in that, because he Tyrod Taylor, the streets wasn't going to call for him. But if old ass Aaron Rodgers got hurt, you probably had as good a backup as anybody else had in the league.
Very serviceable. Very serviceable. But I mean, I think the thing, man, nobody has gotten more out of their talent than Tyrod Taylor. But the thing is like, that ceiling is really not, especially at 35. It's just not. It only go but so high. But see, this is the thing about Woody Johnson. If you look into that story, he tried to bench a safety. Like, can you imagine the sort of like audacity and confidence in yourself? Like, could you like identify the different safeties out there and be like, no, this dude, I need him out of the lineup. Like, I watched football my whole life. I played football, played safety even, and I would not have that level of confidence. Woody Johnson must think he knows something about. He must think he Jerry Jones. Did he play for Brea Bryant, Frank Broyles, or somebody, and we don't know?
I am always amazed by NFL owners' willingness, desire, whatever you want to call it, to make personnel decisions.
Man.
Right? Like, whether it be, or even if it is like personnel, like administrative personnel, like coaches.
Right.
And the likes. Like, I understand if it's like, okay, we need you to go meet with the owner right fast just to make sure you cool, and then go from there. But like, the idea that David Tepper, for example, would say, no, we're going to take Bryce Young. Yeah. Bruh, I'm not that confident, right? Or maybe, just maybe, I ain't no real man, and I'm always wanting somebody to blame.
No, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, what does it say about the people that you have hired if you don't trust them to make that decision? Right? Like, because like, I hire you so I don't have to have my butt on the line for something like that. I don't want people coming up to being like, man, some homeless dude told you to draft Baker Mayfield. Now look at us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would not want that kind of stress.
But let me ask this question. And for people who do not know, Woody Johnson, his name is Robert Wood Johnson, which is a name that you may see all kinds of different places because he's Robert Wood Johnson IV. It's a bunch of them before. They give out research grants. They do all this stuff because Woody Johnson, it's of Johnson and Johnson.
Johnson and Johnson.
Like, that's the kind of paper that we talking about here is the Johnson and Johnson paperwork. The thing is, I don't really get a great handle from his Wikipedia page that he's good at anything. And so with those types of cats, they got to do something, right? Like they got to make a mark somewhere. So think about this. This is actually really funny. When the Texans were terrible and we were talking about what to do. And so Bob McNair died and they gave the team, by the way, a team we all feel good about now still has the same owner. They gave it to Cal McNair. And I would see people make the argument there was another son named Kerry. And they're like, why didn't they put Kerry in charge instead of Bob? I mean, instead of Cal? And it's like, well, because Kerry has like running the energy company and stuff like that. Because anybody can run a football team and make money.
He's making the money for the family right now. He's busy with that.
Yes,
man, Bo. So I'm glad you brought this up. Does this sound like a member of the Johnson family and a person who would end up owning a football team? He graduated from the University of Arizona.
Are you serious?
That's what his education says. Education, University of Arizona, BA. That's it. He worked for, I guess, ran his like company, his family's little private investment firm. That's kind of, I mean, he worked for Johnson and Johnson for a single summer. I mean, what happened?
He went to Arizona?
He went to Arizona.
They are from New Jersey.
I mean, bro, now maybe this is like some stuff that he did the kind of thing that those of us when we were younger and dumber and like our youth were like, man, you know what school I bet got the girls? I'm going to go here. Like maybe that's what he did. But he's rich. He's from a rich family. Like they'll come to you no matter what age, what school you at, right?
He went to Arizona. Wow.
Arizona.
That is a stunning piece of information.
And no more school. No more school. Nothing else to be like, yo, man, well, I got my MBA from such and such.
And by the way, there's no shade to nobody that went to Arizona. We're not talking bad about your school, but you know why you went there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know who you went there with.
Look, man, all college, it's good that you went to college. I'm glad that you went. But yeah, like nobody is going to confuse U of A with Cornell. You know what I mean?
No. That's not, like, I wonder if his parents even told anybody. They were like, oh, he sent him to military school. Oh, but he's getting a little tougher.
But, I mean, like, even if he went to like a Big Ten school, they'd be like, oh, he went to Purdue. Like, that makes sense for a family like that, right? Because you just like, oh, okay, yeah, like that's a academically prestigious school, big Midwest, public university. Arizona. And when he went, because he was born in 47, so this is like 65. I mean,
Arizona's barely crack it.
But Arizona's barely out of being a territory, man. You know what I'm saying?
It's not cracking yet. They're not. They're not in the Pac-10.
Bro, dog. I mean, what happened? What happened?
I feel like a lot of Jets fans are like, yeah, hell yeah. And of course, before we go to break, never forget this one. You remember that time that his girlfriend was having a baby and he pocket dialed his ex-wife from the delivery room?
Oh, wait, no, I have not heard this story. Excuse me?
Yeah. Go ahead and Google that up during the break. Coming right up.
What?
The NBA is in full swing, which means you could turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite teams only on Prize Picks. You can make a Prize Picks lineup between the NFL and the NBA in as little as 60 seconds. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 fantasy sports app. But rather than hearing it from me, let's hear from our expert picker. Sean, how them picks going for you?
I guess I'm solely an expert picker because of the sheer volume of picks I make, but, the picking's been good, and with the NBA and NFL back, I can make picks between both leagues, and with the flex play, I can still cash out if my lineup isn't perfect, but make sure you stick around for the end of the show to hear my upcoming picks, and if you know me, you know I'm always picking more.
So make sure you go to prizepicks.com/Bomani and use code Bomani for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/Bomani. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Life doesn't happen bi-weekly, so why should payday? The money you earn can be in your hands today with EarnIn. EarnIn is an app that gives you access to your pay as you work, up to $100 per day and up to $750 per pay period. So if you need a last-minute birthday present, new Detroit Lions gear, or even an upcoming event you want to go to, EarnIn is the best way to pay for those things. Just download the EarnIn app and verify your paycheck. Then access up to $100 a day as you work and leave an optional tip. Any money you access plus tips are automatically repaid from your next paycheck. Sean, tell the audience how easy it is to sign up.
Make EarnIn a part of your financial routine and join EarnIn's over 4 million customers. Download EarnIn today, spelled EARNIN, in the Google Play or Apple Store. When you download the EarnIn app, type in The Right Time with Bomani Jones under podcast. When you sign up, it'll really help the show. The Right Time with Bomani Jones under podcast. EarnIn is a financial tech company, not a bank. Cash outs are based on your available earnings. Standard cash outs take 1 to 2 business days with no mandatory fees. Option to expedite your transfer for a fee. Tips are voluntary and don't affect the service. See cash out user agreement for details. Services not available in all states.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Let's take a moment to say thank you to someone in your life, whether it's your therapist, loved one, or a friend who really listens to you. It's always helpful to show some gratitude. Sean, is there anyone in your life you want to send some thanks to?
For me, Bo, I'm always thankful for my friends and family who have been with me through all the good times and the bad. And, while this month, especially with Thanksgiving coming up, is all about gratitude towards those people in our lives, there's another person we don't get to thank enough, and that's ourselves. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we are trying our best to make sense of everything in this crazy, crazy world, and that isn't easy. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to people in your life, including yourself.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit BetterHelp.com/Bomani today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Bomani. Finding the perfect gift can be tough, especially one that won't end up in the back of a closet. This holiday season, do what I'm doing and give the gift of planning unforgettable experiences with Viator. Sean, what kind of holiday travel plans do you have for this upcoming season?
Well, I'll be spending a weekend in Vegas, and I'm excited to use Viator for that trip. And you can book guided tours, activities, excursions, and more. Viator has over 300,000 travel experiences to choose from, so it's easy to find something that everyone on your list will enjoy. Plus, they have real traveler reviews, so you can pick the perfect experience with confidence.
And with free cancellation and 24/7 customer support, you can gift worry-free, knowing that plans can change, but great memories last forever. Whether it's a unique way to explore their own city or an adventure on their next trip, a Viator experience is a gift you won't regret. So skip the predictable presents and make this holiday one to remember with Viator. Download the Viator app now and use code Viator10 for 10% off your first booking in the app. Find travel experiences for you. Do more with Viator. All right, we are back on the right time. Joel just Googled up that story I told you about Woody Johnson pocket dialing his old lady while his new old lady was in the delivery room.
Oh my God. This is crazy. Oh man. That's some Arizona stuff right there, bro. You know
Yo.
No wonder Trump liked him.
No.
He's like, I respect this. I should make a political joke. But anyway, my.
By the way, can we bring old lady back into the lexicon, or is that one just lost forever?
I don't know if people have enough soul to kind of understand the old lady. It's my old lady.
Yeah, me and the old lady.
Me and my old lady.
The problem with calling your old lady the old lady is that no one pictures a good-looking woman when they say that about their wives. No, but I don't know. One buddy of mine, whose wife was very pretty, one of my favorite couples of people, and he got drunk one night and said something to me once about, but it told the old lady what I thought. And it was so funny because it was like the irony of him saying the old lady and her being the old lady. But the old lady, but I like the old lady.
Nobody thinks of Lena Horne. You know what I'm saying? What I'm trying to
oh God, I don't even want to say
Loren.
I had one name that immediately came to mind when you said the old lady, and I feel like it's wrong to say because I don't want people to think it's shade, but it is kind of the person that I think about when somebody says the old lady. Hold up, I'm gonna send it to you right fast, and you tell me if this is right in line with what you was talking about or thinking about or whatever.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Right in her pinky toe. Yeah.
Yep. I was gonna try not to make it that obvious, but Joe's like, "Fuck it, let's tell the people."
Hey man, she's not alive no more. You know what I'm saying?
That's certainly a way to look at it. You are correct. But we had something that we talked about that I think people will find interesting, and that's just actually very interesting to me. This week was the 20th anniversary of one of the most surreal nights of my life, the Malice at the Palace. And the Malice at the Palace is one of those where were you moments where people immediately go right back to wherever they were when they found out. Because there is one thing I think about too, without social media, and more importantly, before text messaging really like caught on as a thing, like before the smartphone, something like that happens and somebody calls you.
Someone calling you. Yeah, man.
Right? And my brother called me. I'll never forget. I was trying not to flunk out of graduate school, but not doing a great job of it. So I was in my office at Carolina in Gardner Hall on a Friday night. And I step out and my brother calls me and I'm like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Yo, you watching what's happening?" And I'm like, "No, what's going on?" He's like, "Yo, they up in the crowd fighting with the fans." Or what, I forget exactly how it put it, but it's like, yo, there's no way. The last time somebody told me something that sounded as implausible as what he told me was my man busting up in the crib being like, "Yo, they ran into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon." What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, bro, yeah. Right. What do you mean?
Serious? So anyway, I walk out of my office and Carroll Hall is right to the left, and that's where the J School is. And they had all these TVs on the first floor. And I went and security let me in. And I just stayed on the phone with my brother, and it was on the TVs. And I just was going like this. Ooh, 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 ooh. I could not believe
the way it escalated,
happening.
The way that everything just kept going. It's like the stakes just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And then you see Jermaine O'Neal come from the side, and it's just like, how is this going to? I remember thinking it. Well, before I get into that, I'll tell you, I didn't see it in real time. Okay, it was a Friday night. I had a job. I was so tired. I fell asleep on my couch. I had like Fuddruckers criminals on my shirt. You know what I'm saying? It was that kind of night. And I remember, I guess my phone, people have been calling me, but I didn't wake up. And I look at ESPN, and they were talking like somebody had died. Like, that's the thing that I remember. I was like, oh, man, something serious must have really happened, man. Like, somebody must have been. And then they started running. I was like, oh. Remember, this wasn't before YouTube. We couldn't run it back over and over and over again. We had to depend on the news to filter that information to us, bro. Right. And I was just like, oh, like, this might change everything forever.
Dude, my brother called me and I watched it. And then rather than go home, I drove to the homie's house.
Wow.
Because it was one of them cribs where I could just walk in the front door. And if the front door was locked, I could just hit the credit card and pop it open and come in. I didn't need no key. Right? Like, I just, get in there and make it happen. Because I was like, yo, y'all got to see this. Yeah, and so I feel like I stayed there till maybe 1 a.m. or something like that, just watching it over and over again. And then I drove home. And when I got home, it was now like late enough to where the West Coast homies, I could start calling them and being like, yo, did you see this? It was, everybody listening at this point has seen it. I don't need to give you any more like additional descriptors. But 20 years ago, every sports publication, network, whatever you could think of, would have run some package about an event of that magnitude reaching its 20th anniversary. You see tweets about it. But this is a true, like, seismic event in the history of American sport. And sports media now does not care at all about these kind of thorough retrospectives or anchoring these things in history. Like, I feel like you and I are roughly the same age. We have a real strong grasp of the history before us in sport, in part because the whole generation of baby boomers made the decision that they were going to commemorate everything that they did. But we watch those. Like, people generally consider Sports Century to be the best work in the history of the network at ESPN, which is just a commemoration of the past. And you used to see that stuff all the time. And maybe part of it is we watched a lot more Sports Center, which then weaved it in seamlessly and you could get it. But I feel like we don't do that, not just in sports, by the way, across the board. We don't do those looks back, and that's not a good thing.
Do you think that the issue now is that the retrospective happens when the documentary does? So Jermaine O'Neal did the Untold Malice at the Palace Netflix doc in 2021, and maybe is that when all the retrospectives happen and people look back? Because I think you're absolutely right. I mean, for a lot of reasons. One, there's not as much media as there used to be. Two, there's not as many people in media as there used to be. Three, there's not as much space or bandwidth as there used to be in like the major places. And so, yeah, I mean, like, I bet a lot of other places are like, they did a documentary on that already. Why would we do a piece on that?
But I always think that that's insufficient. Somebody else did it, yes. Like the bookstore is full of biographies on Abraham Lincoln.
Right.
For example, right? It's full of books on Muhammad Ali. Like, everybody gets their own crack at this. I do think that maybe there's something to it, but I also think, though, some of these things are just still too important to not get more, right? So we talked about this in the larger space. This is 10 years since Mike Brown, hands up, don't shoot. There is lots of room for, and in fact, I would say a need in large part for reassessment of that, because we almost had too much going on in real time, too much documenting of the first draft of history, that depending on who you are, where you stand on the political aisle, you think the whole thing was marked by a falsehood.
Right.
Like, people believe that it started with Mike Brown having his hands up and saying, don't shoot. Is that true or not? That's not my point. My point is that is something that there seems to be legitimate reason to maybe look back at, right? All of it is worthy of reassessment. I ain't seen nothing on the 10 years of that. And all the stuff we saw spawn from that, right? And the whole class of people who figured out how to make money off of these things and everything else is hugely important. And I don't see anybody, leading into the George Floyd thing, hugely important.
I think there's just not a lot of interest in it from the editor class of people in media anymore, right? I think that I don't know if they're afraid that it repels people, right? Then they're not trying to turn people away. I also just wonder if people don't necessarily think, like, if you look at history now, and obviously it was important to me. I mean, it was important to me personally, professionally, culturally, everything else. Like, I mean, that story, even just like I said, personally, it changed my life. It changed my career. I was in Ferguson for like 5 months over 2 years. But I just don't think people really want to revisit that. I don't think people want to talk about it anymore. And a lot of the people there were like my boy Wes, man. Wes is not in, Wes is a professor now, but he's not writing about it anymore.
Wes Lowry.
Wes Lowry, my boy. Yeah.
Two-time Pulitzer Prize.
Two-time Pulitzer Prize winner.
Wes Lowry.
Yeah. Not even is he? I don't think he's 30. He ain't even 35 years old. I think that people kind of, and I wonder if this is a overcorrection from the George Floyd stuff too, right? Because like people don't talk about Trayvon much anymore, right? When's the last time you heard?
No, I agree. I think it's two things though, right? Because I do think you're correct that maybe there's a level of exhaustion on like the topics or whatever it comes down to. But I think again, we ain't never got tired talking about the Malice at the Palace. Not one time, not never. There's never, think about one time somebody want to talk to you about that and you ain't light up and just get.
Think about where I was.
Oh, man. The matter-of-fact way that Steven Jackson just walked in the crowd like, well, guess I got to go knock some motherfuckers out.
Got to go handle some business. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I want to ask you this question because I've wondered about this for a while. Do you think that Ron Artest was afraid of Ben Wallace? Do you think that he was just like, I could probably beat him up, but Ben is really mad right now. Let me just wait till he settles down. Because we know Ron got hands. Ron was a Golden Gloves boxer.
I think that Ron was trying to get out of the fight because it really wasn't a good idea. Now, Ron was a little bit of a sucker about this because what Ron was doing was getting some get back about a foul in the playoffs the year before, right? Like, that was the thing. If he had done it a little earlier in the game, maybe it goes a different way. But I think it was the rare moment where Ron realized, okay, fighting is not in anyone's best interest right now. And then Ron went and laid on the table and did some old therapy, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. What the heck is bothering me? And then somebody threw a cup at him, and
But don't you? I thought in a way he was kind of showing up. Ben, he's just like, man, I'm not about to fight you, bro. And he's like, we already.
I
beat
think it's
your
entirely
ass.
possible. I also think that trying to ascribe intention to the 2004 model of Ron Artest is a foolhardy mission.
That is a very fair. That is a very fair point.
Yeah, we're not gonna get nowhere with that. But we like talking about that. Now, granted, the NBA doesn't want us to talk about that, right? And maybe that's a part of it, but that would be something that people would do commemorations on. They're fun things that happen in these time periods that one would expect people to do commemorations on, like in a way that you would see over something like Frazier Ali in 1971. We don't really we see them on the internet with like music stuff. And actually the internet, I think maybe is beating these things in the ground. But like, oh, the 23rd anniversary of Biggie dying, right? Like not even using round numbers. But I think two things have happened that are really part of the larger world. One of them is kind of this tech thing about, disrupt, destroy, all this, but the tech people have little value for history. And so everything is kind of forward looking, which is why you see people make mistakes that have already been made before, in these discussions that we have. But I think that we're at a place where the value of history is going the way of everything else that this society feels like doesn't make money. If it doesn't generate any money, then it is not worthy. And what we're talking about there is history.
Because the music thing, you're right, because that will actually kind of generate, streams. Like people will go to YouTube and start looking at, oh yeah, I like that album. But like, bringing this stuff up is like, what is it going to do?
And this is stuff that people won't bring up for themselves. You need somebody else to kind of do it. Number two is, I think, the state of our industry.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have the resources and the manpower to go about doing these things as they had been done before? Because I love that stuff. And I find even this current generation of young people, if you are engaging and you giving them stories that they ain't heard and that they find interesting, they still listen, right? Like, I don't think these people are indifferent to hearing about something dope that happened before. They don't like being talked down to about it. And I admit that I could probably be guilty of that sometime, but you're not going to tell me that they would not be interested in the background story of the Malice and the Palace, for example. All these documentaries being made implies that people have an interest in these things that happened before. If the only time to do it is a documentary, that's bad news, man. I feel like what we need to do is figure out how to intersperse this along the way. That's part of why me and Sean did the thing with the albums, because it's like, I think this is just a good way to, some people not even going to be up on game.
Right. No, I think you're right. And hitting your second point, 10 years ago, everything seemed ascendant in media, right? Like I worked at BuzzFeed 10 years ago. Think about like what people thought of BuzzFeed in 2014, and its valuation was like close to $1 billion. There was, all those other I've got MTV News had its own website. There was all these places that were hiring up people, starting up things, and a lot of that went away, man. We've hemorrhaged so many jobs. And so what you're seeing is us sort of farming it out to these people on the internet that are just like, they're traffic merchants. You know what I mean? They depend on the clicks. And so that you're right. Like, and they're like, why would I send out something on, unless it's like, who's old boy they used to call Talcum X. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, Shaw King.
Yeah. Like he's not on Twitter no more. You know what I mean? Or maybe he is and I don't see him, but like if you can't monetize it, people are probably like, well, why would I bring that up? That's sad. Nobody and it's controversial, right? The kind of person that traffics in that space, they probably don't even like, there's not even really a moral or political argument or angle that they care about there. It's just like, can I make money off of it? And if they can't do that, it's like,
my thing is it doesn't even have to be the controversial stuff. We're just not looking back.
Yeah, man. Well, like I would encourage people to look at Grantland's oral history of the Malice at the Palace. This is years. I can't remember what year it came out, but it was when Grantland was around, so you can guess. That is an amazing retelling of the night. And remember the thing that because this is the stuff you can only get from looking back and through the lens of history. Like if you have like this clarity, and there's this scene in the locker room where Steven Jackson is in there, the Pacers are all in there.
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, and Ron Artest is like, hey man, you think we're gonna get in trouble? I was like, dog. Yeah, bro. And it was just like,
Steven Jackson loves nothing more than to tell that part of the story.
Yeah. Also, Ron Artest said something like, y'all niggas can really fight or something like that. Like he was really like impressed. He was he was so excited that his boys had stood up for him. But it was just like, yo.
But also Ron Artest from a version of New York City where things like this have happened before. He saw somebody get killed with a table leg one time.
And people thought he was lying, and then they looked it up in the news. Yeah, and they looked up and he was like, "Oh man, somebody actually got stabbed with a table leg."
Table leg
got stabbed. I mean, dog. R.I.P. Sorry to that man. But I mean, that is a hilarious ass story. Dog. It's like that did not happen, man.
Nah, that table leg was the original corn pop.
Yep. Oh, bro.
Remember Joe Biden said that there was some dude that ran the streets in Wilmington named Corn Pop. We were like, oh, he's just making things up. And then we looked it up. It was like, oh, Corn Pop did run the streets.
I want people to go back and look at my tweets because I believed him because it was like, this is too old of a story to not be real. I was like, it's like, this is actually true. He's telling the truth about Corn Pop. I knew it in real time. But yeah, it was just like, it was like that. Have you seen that meme of that dude on the couch and he's like lying to people? It's like this old uncle in like a purple suit lying to people. Like that's what the Joe Biden thing kind of felt like. But I was like, nah, I think the Corn Pop story is real.
It was too verifiable.
Yeah. It was just like people could find, I mean, how many people in Wilmington are there really? You know?
So there aren't that many. The thing about Wilmington though, or just the thing about Delaware generally is that, you know, Delaware, because it's so small but very urban, like its population density as it goes for states is very high. I want to say it's like 20% black.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they have HBCU.
Yeah, and so Delaware. What I'm saying, but that's telling me though about Joe Biden be in the streets being like, oh, of course I know Corn Pop. Like he won some elections on the fact that he knew Corn Pop.
Man, I mean, look, man. I mean, you know, the thing about Joe is that, like, I mean, people could think whatever about him, man, but obviously, like, he had no problem going wherever and talking to whoever. And so if you tell me, like, oh, he and Corn, I'm sure Corn Pop, I bet Corn Pop probably passed out some flyers for him once upon a time. He's like, man, the thing that probably was sad is that people probably thought Corn Pop was lying when he said he knew Joe Biden. They were just like, you don't know Joe Biden, man. Like, I promise you, man, I had to run in with him down at the pool one time and I got my chain and he told me to leave. And they're like, no, you don't know no Joe Biden, man. Stop lying. So yeah.
Good Corn Pop. But no, man, that happens from time to time. You be like, oh, somebody really did get stabbed with a table leg.
Stabbed with a table leg, man. I mean, it's just like, damn, Ron was telling the truth about that for real, bro.
Yes. Yo, one last thing I'm gonna hit you with, because this is one of our last episodes before the Thanksgiving holiday, which means college football rivalry week. For the first time since the year 2011, Texas and Texas A&M are gonna play against each other in football. And I have contended for the longest, and I still hold it. I still don't root for Texas no more, but they should have never played them ever again.
Come on,
ever
man.
Again.
You're not excited about this?
So here's what I think is going to be very interesting. That feels like a game that is absolutely impossible for Texas to win. There is no way in the world that they can ever care about this game in the same way that the Aggies will having it at the crib.
Man, have you ever been to a game at Kyle Field? I think I should ask you this. Have you been to a game at Kyle Field? Oh,
that sounds terrifying.
No, Bo. Oh, you got to go. Oh, man.
Can I be the first one to leave?
You want to stay. You might want to let the crowd get out first and then leave.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? No, man. Kyle Field is as weird and as cool as everybody says it is. And I've actually been to a Texas A&M game in Kyle Field. It is live. It was 97, and it was Ricky Williams versus Dat Win. You know what I'm saying?
That was the team that got John Malkovich fired.
They were 4-7. They had James Brown out there. You know what I'm saying? Tiki Hardeman. Dante Hall. There was a lot of all. It was like a very star-studded game.
Sir Parker.
They did a whole movie on him. Sir Parker. You know, they call me Sir. If y'all look that up. Royland Bradley, my boy Jason Webster, who I grew up with. You know what I'm saying? So guess who had one catch for 37 yards in that game? Your man.
Well, Dan Campbell?
Dan the Man Campbell, dog. Dan the Man Campbell. So, man, Bo, I'm shocked that you have not been to a game at Kyle Field. You have got to go.
But you got to realize, man, I left Texas when I was 16 years old. Let me tell you what's not easy to get to.
Kyle Station.
That look, I don't have a high opinion of that place. I don't. Yeah, there's nothing I really want to like. But you think about it, doing the kind of jobs I've done. I haven't been to that many football stadiums, generally speaking, because like for what I do, it makes more sense to be somewhere to watch all the games than like be in the place for one of them. But no, that's gonna be Bill Curry. That year they fired Bill Curry because he never beat Auburn. But that third year, it was the first game that they had played at Auburn in something like 40 or 50 years. Homie, you was never going to win that.
Oh, bro. That's like,
there was no chance that y'all were ever going to win that game.
Man, so does this, like, we haven't talked about this, and I'm not even, like, do you think they bring the bonfire back for this?
I don't think they can. I don't think they.
Really?
Well, you know what though? People don't remember history, so maybe they can pull it off. But it feels like the bonfire sounds mighty difficult to ensure.
That was a generation ago. That was, about
25 years.
25 years ago, man.
25 years ago.
I don't know. I mean, if they were going to do it, it would be for this game. Put it that way. It is.
They care so much. Like,
care so much.
Look, it's still hilarious to me because look, A&M made a bet and it worked. They're like, we need to come up with a comparative advantage over Texas and in a different way, Oklahoma, but really over Texas. And we're going to be the Texas school in the SEC. And it worked, right? Though I think it worked better for the SEC than it worked for A&M, but that's a different discussion in and of itself. Texas showed up in the SEC, and they was hot.
Oh, they're so mad.
Because they knew what that meant. They knew what that meant. Y'all just go back to being what y'all always been, 8-4.
Have you ever seen the series record between? Because it was shocking to me because, so, I'm 46. My youth is late
we grew
80s,
up with A&M being better.
A&M won 10 of 11 from 84 to 94. Like, they dominated Texas. Like, it was just like A&M was the dominant program in Texas for us growing up. And Arkansas, strangely. Arkansas was the dominant program in Texas for a time during that period. But yeah, man, it's like Texas 76 to 37 and 5. Like, it's like I was like, oh, they were really beating them in pre-integration days. They were beating their ass.
Well, the other part, the Mac Brown era, I forget, I was talking to one guy online on the Aggie fans. He made a great point. I never thought about that. He would listen to Texas fans complain about Mac Brown, and he couldn't understand it because Mac was taking them behind the woodshed year after year after year. Like, Mac didn't really understand the Oklahoma assignment.
Yeah.
But the A&M assignment, oh, he got that one.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Obviously, I feel like A&M is their real rival. Like, I feel like there's a hatred to Texas towards A&M that is not evident with OU. Like, I feel like OU is just a little different.
It's interesting you say that because living in North Carolina for 10 years gave me fascinating perspective on this, which is the school that has two rivals.
Yes.
Right.
North
now,
Carolina, I guess.
With Carolina, it's interesting because they get to kind of shapeshift. They get to be the school of the people when juxtaposed against Duke, and they get to put their noses in the air when juxtaposed against NC State, right? I feel like Texas A&M is kind of a South Texas rivalry, and Texas Oklahoma is kind of a North Texas rivalry. Texas A&M is a rivalry a bit more in line with what most college football rivalries are, these class wars. I feel like Texas Oklahoma is a football rivalry, but it means more to Oklahoma because Oklahoma is Oklahoma and Texas is Texas. I'm talking about the states, not the schools.
That's what Oklahoma got. I mean, it's the Sooners.
And that's why they're so good.
Yeah, right. Which is why, like, Brent Venables, man. I mean, look, man, I don't know how many more of these you got, but you can't let what happened to you happen again next year. Like, it can't be like this.
Oh no, he got one more.
It can't be like this. I mean, the way they lost to Texas was humiliating. Like, that game was. I mean, that was a tremendous indictment of what is going on down there.
Look. He got one more because they got to figure something out. Like, they're in a real trick bag because to me, the most comparable school in the SEC to Oklahoma is Tennessee.
Yeah,
in the sense that there's their strong desire to be good, but they don't really have many built-in advantages, and it requires a significant investment in national recruiting and everything else to get to players. And we just saw Tennessee come off a good 15 down years.
It was a long time. Look, man, there's nothing stopping Oklahoma from becoming Nebraska. Why couldn't they be Nebraska? Nebraska was great.
Well, no, I disagree. I don't think you're wrong, but the point at which I disagree is simply that Oklahoma is at least close to places that produce players.
Okay, that's fair.
And Nebraska is not.
Right. Well, yeah, because Nebraska's even north of Kansas. So yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? Like,
you're right.
There's no built-in reason for Nebraska to be better than Wisconsin. Like, I used to make the argument, like, Nebraska, they at least had the argument we should be as good as Wisconsin. Why can't we be as good as Wisconsin? And people are like, all right, we'll pull up recruiting lists from Wisconsin. It may only be like 5 or 6 3-stars, but at least they got them.
Right, they got a few. Nebraska don't have nobody that nobody else want.
No, but you're right, though. Oklahoma can fall off.
It could be Arkansas then.
It could be, except it won't be because they're not letting that happen. I don't know what it's going to take for them to figure out how to get that to go, but their want to is high.
It's tough because you can't just bring in Jackie Sherrill like you used to be able to. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You can't just get a compared, like a quick advantage. We do things other people won't do.
Yeah, we won't do it. Yeah, right. We'll take care of you in ways other people won't. And Texas ain't getting outspent no more.
No. Well, let's think about this, though. Like, schools with the high want-to factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State, great example. Literally anybody in the world can win at Ohio State. That's why it's the easiest and hardest place in the world to be a coach. Like Ryan Day, your record is great, and we don't think that there's a single person in the world that couldn't do what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, he has a great record, but nobody thinks he's great.
Nope. They got a high want-to. OU got that high want-to. I don't know who's like. I think that's 1 and 2. Excuse me. 1 is Alabama. My fault.
Right.
Alabama 1, Ohio State 2, Oklahoma 3.
Because you would think, like, you're absolutely right. Because you would think that LSU would be like that,
I don't think they're one. I think they would like to.
Right.
Like, you're not. Brian Kelly's getting hell right now because people don't like Brian Kelly. But if they liked Brian Kelly, the records he's put up, he could do that for a couple more years before anybody really had a problem. Les Miles got to lose to Alabama 5 years in a row before they got him out of there.
Right. LSU, growing up for me, was a 7-4 ass program. You know what I mean? And they just kind of dealt with that. And Nick Saban was the one that was like, yo, maybe. I always say Nick Saban unofficially integrated the SEC. You know what I'm saying?
He did.
He integrated the SEC. He got serious about getting these.
He's like, guys. What are we doing?
And as soon as LSU got good and SEC started getting serious, look what happened to the Florida schools, Florida State, Miami, all those schools that ate off that forever. So yeah, man. But you're right. Outside of OU, Alabama, and Ohio State, because Texas don't have it. USC clearly don't have it. I
full on want to.
Michigan doesn't, because Michigan has always had this thing about, we're Michigan men and all.
They would like to.
Like
Miami is a great example of. We will.
Right.
But
it's not important to them. They don't have institutional. They've always struggled with institutional buy-in too.
Yes. Well, because it's just a buy-in meant that they had to let some people in that they really want to, like, it's like they looked up and were like, who plays for us now? North Carolina, like, that was the interesting thing about Carolina. State has want to. When it comes to football, Carolina would like to.
Right.
That's like Virginia Tech's got want to, Virginia would like to.
Right. It would be nice if we were really good, but it's not that important.
Yeah, like Tennessee got want to. It's just a lot going. Auburn got want to.
But see, man, I feel like Auburn also is kind of like, we'll lose sometimes. This, we don't like it, but it'll be okay.
They're up and down. Like, the problem with Auburn is super high ceiling, crazy low floor. You will leave in shame and dishonor. When it ends for you at Auburn, it will be terrible.
Yeah, it'll be humiliating, right? Because you're going to bottom out. Have you been to Auburn? You've given a speech there. Yeah,
I gave a talk at Auburn that year. They went 0-8 in the SEC with Gene Chizik, and I tried to joke about it, and I learned that they didn't find it funny at all.
No, man. Yeah, yeah, man. It's real easy for Auburn to be bad, but yeah, I don't know. But I think you identified the right three. The thing about OU is I would have said the Nebraska had to want to. The Nebraska was a program. Those people fill that stadium out. They have the want to, but it can't overcome any old thing. You got to have some built-in natural advantage. Like, Alabama doesn't have built-in advantages relative to its peers, but it does have natural advantages, right? It is in a region
that produces players. They at least have that much.
Right. It's between a bunch of states. Mississippi and Alabama both overproduce given their population, right? And then, of course, Atlanta, Florida, they got it all. They can get whatever they need at any time, and they're willing to go there to do it, But yeah, because I've always kind of been like, why would somebody go to Alabama? Have you been to Tuscaloosa?
I have not been to Tuscaloosa.
Okay.
It's
okay. It's okay.
Well, the SEC doesn't really. The SEC only has like a couple bad towns.
What do you think of Baton Rouge?
I'm the wrong person to ask because I'm a family. We a Southern family. I have an affection for Baton Rouge. I don't think that Baton Rouge is a bad town to be in to go to college. No.
Have I told you my Baton Rouge story? So I have my family from South Louisiana. We had a family reunion there. I brought my girlfriend at the time, now wife, to Baton Rouge for the family reunion. One day I'm like, let's just drive around. I'm gonna show you around town, show you the LSU, all this stuff. So we drive around for about an hour, and and we were in a parking lot at Sonic getting some food, and she's like, so when are we gonna see the nice parts? I was like, I showed you all the nice parts. That was it. That was it.
And see, I feel that because when I go to Baton Rouge now as an adult, I see where that might come from. But like my favorite uncles in Baton Rouge, my favorite cousins in Baton Rouge, I associate going to Baton Rouge with fun, even if it's a funeral.
Love the people, love the food. Yeah, it's a great place to hang out, but
compared to the Big 12, which has a bunch of towns that don't nobody really want to go to, right? The SEC, Starkville is right. I mean, y'all try to tell me College Station ain't what it used to be, but whatever. I'll leave it off the list for y'all.
It's
but
an excerpt now.
Outside of those two, really. Like, I've never been to Columbia, Missouri. It don't sound cracking to me, but
it's not great. Have you been to Columbia, South Carolina?
Yeah, you could do worse.
Yeah, it's not great. Athens is lovely. I like Athens.
Right. But that's the thing. It's a lot of not great, not a lot of ugh.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I haven't been to Fayetteville, which is crazy because my
people tell me good things about Fayetteville.
People say it's beautiful. I've known people that moved there and loved it, and that it's beautiful. So yeah.
Yeah, but you related to people from Arkansas. I don't really know if y'all like.
I mean, my family we are self-aware enough to know we are from the ugliest part of Arkansas. Not only the ugliest part of Arkansas, the ugliest part of the country. Pine Bluff, Arkansas, where I'm from, was once rated, I think 3 years in a row, the worst city in the United States. So we know where we're from. You know,
isn't that partially the schism?
I mean, what do you mean? Like because
it's the black town.
It is. I mean, well, yeah, because they gave it up to us.
Yes,
they left. They stripped it for parts and they left it to black people. Yes, they left Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
It's the Kinston of Arkansas.
I look, bro.
Every state's got one of those. Port Arthur, Texas, I think, falls in this description. The one state where the one that fits that description is a famous town is Louisiana, because that place is called New Orleans.
Oh, bro, look, man. I mean, also Louisiana's got some way off the grid places that are kind of. I mean,
my dad's from one.
Yeah, look, yes. And once you start getting into the interior of the state too, it's a little even more sketchy. But New Orleans, like you said, the worst of New Orleans is pretty much like.
Oh yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst. But
yeah.
I was talking to my uncle about my daddy's hometown, and he was like, "What made it different was, the white folks was out here being violent toward us, but we was getting our lick back."
Hey.
Hey. He was like, we was killing them the same way that they was killing us.
I gotta look up. So your pops are from Oakdale? Is that right?
Yes.
Do they have some sort of a Wikipedia entry? The Great Massacre of Oakdale, 1942 or something like that? That's what it sounds like.
So. I don't think
all
so.
All right. Okay. Because that sounds like the kind of place where that would go down. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, but the thing is, it would have been the Great Battle. It wouldn't have been just the one-sided situation.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Usually it's because of the battle gets started and then white people bring in reinforcements. You know what I'm saying?
The stories my daddy tells about Oakdale, it's get it how you live, dog. It's get it how you live. Like whoever it is, they all in it together. That's the conclusion that I have drawn about Oakdale.
Bossier City right up there with them. You know what I'm saying? Look, now Bossier City got one of them Wikipedia entries. Okay, so they got one of them. We got one of them Wikipedia entries. So that part of the world is very, if you make it out, bless you, because you really made it out of somewhere. You know what I mean?
It's a thing, guys. It's a thing. That is Joel Anderson. Check him out at The Ringer, co-host in the Press Box with Brian Curtis. Also doing other stuff. Congratulations, my brother.
Man, Bo, thanks for having on a no longer unemployed brother. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for holding me down during my struggle, as always. And I can't wait to come back, man.
Yes, sir. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this thing 3 times a week. Sean Yu handles everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Couple things. 1, be sure to go to our YouTube channel. Check out our YouTube exclusive content at The Right Time YouTube channel. And 2, this is very, very important. We're going to have 1 episode for you on the week of Thanksgiving. Just 1. We normally do none. This time we're going to have 1. I don't remember what day it is, but you'll see it. It'll be there. But remember, subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. We'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.